Welcome to Raiders on the Record, the podcast featuring Hastings High School athletics. I'm Athletic Director Trent Hansen. My colleague Tim Hanneberg and I work together to bring you the stories of Raider sports. We are thrilled to share conversations with the athletes, coaches, and alumni that represent Raider Nation. Check back weekly and be sure to share this podcast with your friends in the Raiders Network.
Jake Harris is a senior at Hastings High School. During his time at Hastings, he has participated in hockey and golf. In hockey, Jake is a 3-year varsity letter winner, was captain during his senior year, and has scored over 100 points. In golf, he is a multiple-time varsity letter winner. Jake plans to attend MSU-Mankato and major in law enforcement. All right, here we are with Jake Harris. Jake, let's start at the beginning. Let's hear about your family. Did you guys always live in Hastings? Did you eventually move to Hastings? Is your mom and dad from Hastings? Tell us about your brothers. Anything else that goes in your family. I know you got some extended family from Hastings as well, so you got a lot of ties to this community. So let's hear all about your close family and your extended family as well.
Yeah, so I got 2 brothers. I'm the middle child. We all grew up pretty close to one another, and we're always playing with each other. And if we weren't, we were usually fighting. Luke, he's the oldest. He's almost 21. He goes to the University of St. Thomas. And John, he's a freshman. He goes to Hastings. And both my parents are actually alumni of Hastings. And all my extended family are just super close. One of my older cousins, Mikey Junker, he lives in Fargo, North Dakota right now, and he would drive 4 hours to come watch me play hockey and just be nuts. And he'd sometimes drive back that same day after work in the morning. And I just really appreciate that, what he's done for me, and he's helped me a lot. Both my grandparents are snowbirds, so they go down south in the winter, and they listen to hockey games. And Grandpa Steve and Grandma Cheryl would play cards on Saturday nights actually, and with their friends, and they'd turn on the game and they listen to the games with all their friends, and they'd be cheering me on and stuff. And I just love hearing about that after the game, calling them. So I grew up in Hastings. I've lived in the same house for 18 years. My parents have lived here for 20 plus, I think. I went to C school. It's a private school in Hastings, K through 8th grade. And I'm pretty sure, I remember my dad saying this, that I'm the 5th generation of my family to go to C's actually.
Nice. So yeah, a couple of other questions I had for you kind of based off of that. So number one, you talked about your older brother, Luke, and your younger brother, John. So what was it like being the younger brother when Luke was in high school? And now what's the feeling like when you're the older brother and John's in high school? So what's that kind of, if you want to call it dichotomy, what's that like?
Definitely being the younger brother in high school. I thought that was pretty cool because all the upperclassmen just loved me, and they brought me in like their little brother, honestly. Some of the kids, like, Zach Nelson and all those boys would just say hi to me in the hallways, always be nice to me at football games, hockey games, always be cheering me on, which was pretty nice. And then being the older brother, it's been super nice because, well, me and John play golf on the same team right now, and he's a little better than me. So I get a lot of chirps thrown at me from the older kids that I'm worse than John. And John thinks it's pretty cool that all my friends are like, you're beating your older brother and stuff. So he brags about that a little, but I like it.
Nice. So you talked about going to C's. Did you go to C's all the way through K through 8?
Yeah, I went K through 8, and my aunt teaches, or she doesn't teach. She's a secretary at C's, and my mom actually is a teacher there now. It's her 2nd year, I believe.
Okay. Any other teachers that really stuck out when you were at C's? We do send these podcasts out to all the staff here in Hastings and C's as well. So anyone that really sticks out at C's that really had a big impact on you?
Yeah, my Phi Ed teacher, Mr. Judd, he was actually the girls basketball coach for a few years. He was always trying to make me better, whether we're playing dodgeball or we're running the mile at gym. He always loved me, and was always cheering me on and stuff. So I really liked him. He actually moved out of town a few years ago. Actually, 8th grade was his last year that he taught there, and he moved away, but I miss him.
Mm-hmm. What about here at the high school? I know you're going to mention my name, but we'll just avoid the temptation there. Any other
Oh,
teachers that really stuck out to you at the high school that had a big impact on you? And it could just, I know you're very physical and active kid, but anyone else in a different sport or a different kind of part of the school that really had a big impact on you?
uh, just like he wasn't even my teacher, but my sophomore hockey coach. That he's a teacher, I guess. Mr. Welch. He always made sure I was doing my homework and being a nice kid around school and being a leader. I really appreciate that. And Mr. Cook, I loved him. He's just a nice dude and stuff.
Right on. So, Jake, this is a sports podcast, and we focus around a lot of sports. You already talked about playing golf and hockey, but let's hear about the other sports that you played growing up. Were you always involved in those growing up? Did you kind of venture into other things? I typically like to stop somewhere around middle school. That's where kids get a little more serious with sports. So, let's hear about those sports you played growing up here in Hastings.
Yeah. So as a kid, I grew up at the hockey rink. I mean, I was there for hours on end. My dad was the president of the hockey association. So, I mean, my mom would drop me off there at 10 a.m. and I wouldn't leave till sometimes 8 p.m. with my dad. I mean, I'd skate for hours and hours and it'd just be nice. And I mean, growing up, I was pretty talented, even though my dad wasn't even good. I don't know how, but, as a squirt, so I was in elementary school. As a squirt, I won the championship game for in-house, which we were the underdogs, beating my best friend Croy Korkendorfer's team in the championship. I remember the rink was packed. It was like I was playing high school hockey, but the rink was packed and it was amazing. Then Pee Wee's, my dad was actually the coach that year, and having him as a coach, I mean, sometimes you like it, sometimes you don't. It's like when he yells at you, it's not the best, but then once you do something good and you look and he doesn't say anything, that's when you know you do something good.
Mm-hmm.
And then baseball, I grew up playing baseball with all three of my brothers did, or two of my brothers and me. We really liked it, but it got too much. And I mean, we had a pretty good team. A lot of kids quit as the years went on. I remember winning a state tournament, MSF. Jeez, I don't even know what grade I might have been 8th grade. I won that, and then from there, I just didn't really like it.
Gotcha. So then you kind of play all these sports maybe throughout elementary school, middle school. Let's start at ninth grade. Um, did you play anything in the fall? If not, that's okay. Let's talk about hockey in the winter, golf in the springtime, and then we'll go each year. So start off with ninth grade, the sports you played, and then go to 10th, 11th, and then 12th. Kind of work your way through that. Let's hear about anything that kind of stuck out to you. I know your sophomore year hockey season was kind of electric. You had a lot of success. Your team did at least your sophomore year, but junior and senior year were really good as well. So let's hear about success individually and as a team, kind of in each of those sports, starting in ninth grade all the way through 12th grade.
Yeah, so in 9th grade, I was still playing Bantam, so I was a second-year Bantam. I was a leader on the team. We had a pretty good team, all around forwards, D, goalie, and we went. I mean, I think we were seated maybe 1 or 2 in regions, but we didn't do so hot. We didn't make it to the state tournament, which was a little upsetting, but we gave it our all, and I think I scored a few goals in that tournament, which was pretty exciting. And then 9th grade baseball. So I played baseball 9th grade. That was my last year playing. And I actually liked 9th grade baseball just because it was like school ball. I tried, but I had a great time with some kids on the team. We messed around a little. Sometimes we didn't go to practice. I texted coach a few times that I'd have a headache and stuff, but really I just didn't want to go to practice and just sometimes work out instead or just hang out with my friends on Fridays.
Oh, brother. All right. Well, I'll cut that part out. Don't worry, Jake. All right. We can't let our fans be hearing about that. I'm building you up as a stellar student athlete, but I'm just joking. All right. And let's keep it moving on.
Oh yeah, so my sophomore year hockey, I was trying to make varsity. I mean, I think I weighed a buck 10 going into my sophomore year. And I mean, I was scared. I mean, I was as a freshman, I watched the varsity boys and I was like, well, this is gonna be a jump. So that summer sophomore year, I was in the gym a lot with a kid named Leo Otto. He showed me the ropes of the gym, helped me train, helped me get my weight up a little. We'd He'd push me as hard as I could go. And so then tryouts came rolling around. I did good at tryouts. We had a few tryout scrimmages. I scored a goal in one of them. Actually, I got hit pretty hard in one of those games, I think versus Red Wing. And Leo actually hopped the bench and went after that guy and started punching him and stuff,
Oh
which
boy.
is, I was like, oh, geez. But yeah, my sophomore year, I had a pretty good season then. I made the team, scored my first goal. My first goal in my first game, actually. I remember Griffin Wise giving me a backdoor pass. The arena was going nuts. My teammates, my coaches, the fans were just all giving me love. And that's a moment I'll never forget, actually. And we had a pretty good team that year. We went to the section final. We were up 2-0 going in the third period. Lost in overtime 3-2. But I just remember that arena that night, and it was packed. I don't think there was a seat empty. And I looked over at my buddy and our mouths were just open and we were like, wow, this is really happening right now. But
Hmm.
sophomore year hockey was probably my favorite year, just the kids and how good of hockey team we had. And then I actually I didn't have a spring sport actually because of COVID that year. I was probably gonna play baseball for one more year, but that didn't happen. There was no spring sports that year, so
Hmm.
I was pretty bummed out. But yeah, then my junior year that was COVID year still for hockey, and I mean we didn't play as many games, but we had a lot of returners that were coming back. Our goalie Tyler McCarville was coming back, which he really helped us out. One of the best goalies that I've played against and with. And we had a good team. We lost in the semifinals to I believe Lakeville North. And I still put up a lot of points that year. Had a good line. And yeah. And then I actually quit baseball my junior year. Sort of sick of it. I joined golf. My hockey coach, Mr. Klein, told me to come out for golf, and my dad was pretty big into golf. So I was like, it's like, why not? I actually made the varsity team my first year, which is pretty awesome. And I think my first ever match, we were playing at Southview Country Club up in South St. Paul, and I took second place out of nowhere. I was like, wow, this is really happening. I mean, second place, my first match. I thought it was the dog. And then as a few more matches went on, I was in the bottom bunch. But from there, I've worked pretty hard at golf. My dad's taught me some things, and this is my little brother's first year playing golf, and he's been whooping my butt. But I did beat him the other day, which I was bragging to him when he got mad and stuff. But it's been fun golfing with him, and we got a nice group of kids at golf. A lot of hockey kids, so that's been nice.
Yeah. Any major highlights from your senior year? You've kind of mentioned golf a little bit this year. We're close to the end of the season right now with golf, and it's been going pretty well. But hockey, you guys had another phenomenal season this year too. So any kind of major highlights, captains, section semifinals, section finals, anything that kind of goes along with this hockey season that sticks out to you?
Yeah, definitely the senior year was probably the most fun, just as a leader and as a captain, just trying to build a name for myself and for the town, and knowing that I can do something great was amazing. And we obviously did that. We had over 20 plus wins, and losing in the semifinals to Lakeville North, which which is a good accomplishment. I wish we would have went further, but and then my senior year, I got my 100th point actually, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, for golf, this senior year's been a little up and down. I've been shooting good and bad. Last week I actually won a match shooting a 38. That was first couple holes were rough, and then I started to birdie a few, get a little under, and started shooting good. Started looking at my brother's score and seeing I was beating him. That gave me a little confidence. And I was like, let's just win this. And a few holes after, I see that I won, and I was like, wow, first match I've ever won. So that's pretty awesome. Trying to get honorable mention this year for golf. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's one of my goals this year for golf is to get honorable mention.
For sure. So we got a couple of weeks left here in your senior year. Let's talk about your plans for next year. Where you plan on going to college? Anything else that goes along with that? Do you got a major planned out? Do you think about playing sports at all? Let's hear about your plans for next year.
Yeah, so actually next year I'm going to Mankato State University, and I'm going to plan on majoring in law enforcement. I want to be a cop or something like that in the future. Hanging up the hockey skates, not good enough to go play golf anywhere, so that's not an option.
No worries at all. So you talked about playing a lot of sports growing up. You talked about playing hockey and golf at a high school level. And you've been very successful with both those sports. Why have you been so attracted to sports, and why do you play sports? What's one of the biggest draws you have to sports?
I think as I got a high school athlete, I realized that question. I just thought to myself why, and I was like, I play sports to help myself overcome obstacles and troubles when things get tough. And I choose to play hockey because I love the fact of winning. I love to help kids learn. Actually, this year I helped a Pee Wee team. I was a coach of a Pee Wee team actually, and just going out there and showing your face to the younger community as a senior captain and leader just really helps the town. And it's just the kids look up to you, and it's amazing. So
Is that something you think you're going to get into in the future, coaching?
yeah, hopefully. I mean, sort of want to coach. I don't know at which level, but definitely want to coach. I don't know if I can coach any younger kids because I can't watch that, but definitely the higher levels if they let me.
Right on. You've talked about a lot of different accomplishments with the teams you've been on, especially with hockey. You guys had a phenomenal 10th grade year. 11th grade was a very good year too. In 12th grade, you guys had an amazing season as well. What you might already mention this with your first goal your sophomore year, but what do you think one of your favorite moments has been as a high school athlete?
I got a few actually. Probably sophomore year, definitely going to the section final. And then another amazing goal that I had was getting to 100 points, which honestly, that wasn't even one of my goals. I saw I was creeping on 100 points, and I was like, wow, I'm going to actually do this. So that was pretty awesome. And when I hit that, hit that gritty on ice, you know?
Sure. Yeah. Anything else that really sticks out from your high school career as a favorite moment, or maybe something that was really rewarding?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, one of the best things about my high school career is honestly just playing with my little brother and competing with him, and just like helping each other out when things aren't going so strong, and just competing with honestly just your brother is pretty amazing at a high school sport. And I mean, he's a freshman, I'm a senior, and I think that's really cool.
So you talked about Mr. Welch. Coach Welch was your 10th grade hockey coach, and he had a really big impact on you in the classroom. You talked about Coach Klein as your hockey coach your last 2 years, and now as your current head coach for golf as well. So you've had some phenomenal coaches, but and if it's one of them, that's great. If it's not, that's okay too. You also talked about your dad coaching you when you were little. So who do you think one of those best coaches is that you've played for? And I always define this in many different ways, but maybe someone that really had a big impact on you, taught you something that really stuck with you, was there to mentor you along the way. So who do you think one of those best coaches is that you've played for, Jake?
Yeah, so like one coach who had a big impact on me was a summer hockey coach. He goes by the name of Moose. He coaches over at St. Paul Johnson. He's a guy that cares about you and loves you, but he'll get on your tail when you're slacking off or being lazy. And he's the one who taught me how to work hard and become a leader on and off the ice, which I mean, he really developed me and like to the person I am today.
Right on. You've mentioned a lot of different people, especially your brother with golf this year. You talked about Tyler McCarville in the goal here for the last your 10th and 11th grade year playing hockey. And this is a really tough question, but who do you think the best teammate that you played with, maybe a most valuable teammate? And once again, I've defined this in many different ways. You know, you being a 10th grader on the hockey team, it could be someone that you really looked up to, that Griffin Wise, someone on a team like that. It could be someone that is the same age as you, maybe Connor Stoffel, that always maybe push you to improve. It could be someone that, you know, you just really need to lean on and talk to when you were having a hard time. So who do you think that best teammate is that you've played with over the last couple of years?
I'm gonna have to say Leo Watto. He's 2 years older than me, so he's a senior. I was a sophomore, and the reason I picked him is because he really showed me how to become an athlete, and he's the one that got me in the weight room the summer of sophomore year, and he's helped me so much. And whether it's on the ice and off the ice, we'd always be talking. He'd bring me to all the practices. He showed me the ropes of even being in high school. He was one of my brother's best friends, and then I became close to him, and he always had my back. Like I said, he jumped on the ice when someone hit me, and I got that video in my phone somewhere, and I love him.
Right on. I think I already know the answer to this one. And maybe it's a little different in hockey. You guys got a few opponents that I know you always, maybe I take that back. You know, you got the Lakevilles kind of added in there. I was going to think St. Thomas. I know Hill Murray's another big opponent for you guys, but golf might be a little bit different. But the question I got for you here, Jake, is the opponent that you always look forward to playing every single year. And this is someone that maybe brings out the best in you, a rivalry game. And then you could pick one for hockey and then maybe golf too. I know golf is a little bit different where you might not have an opponent that you look forward to. It could be a particular opponent that you've played against, maybe someone on the golf team that you've seen the last couple of years that you always like playing against, or an event that you always look forward to playing in every single year. So who do you think that opponent is, or event that you always look forward to playing in sports every single year?
Probably the opponent for hockey has got to be Lakeville North, because we usually play them one time during the regular season. That's always at the end of the year. And that's always just a grind fest, and there's not many goals scored. And Hastings and Lakeville North, we know each other pretty well, and we'll be chirping at each other, fighting, and that's pretty awesome. And then we usually see them every year in the section semifinals, so that's great. And then for golf, I mean, there's no really opponent. Probably STA. I don't really like them that much, and seeing those golfers, I just don't like them. They're always winning.
That's all right. Last couple questions in here for you, Jake. And maybe the most important, I'm not saying your whole high school career is not important, but I always like the advice that we get from all our fans. And it just really helps our parents, coaches, athletes that listen to these, maybe have some tangibles that they can take and run with. So first thing is, you're talking to parents and coaches, you know, the people in the stands and the people on the bench with you. If you had to give them two pieces of advice from the last couple of years of you playing sports, what do you think it would be and why?
Definitely for parents. I mean, this starts at a young age, but you don't need to send your kids to any hockey camps and spend a bunch of money on them. Just tell them to get in the garage and stick handle, and pretty much, yeah. And then for coaches, don't wear kids out on the sport they love. I mean, that's the reason why I quit baseball, because I'd be playing 5-6 tournaments in the summer on the weekends, and I didn't have any time on the weekends to go jump in my grandma's pool or hang out with my friends. And that really wore me out, just the long summers and the 90-degree heat. It was just like, can't wait to be done with this sport. So yeah.
Right on. And now, Jake, you're talking to the student athletes. So these are kids younger than you, maybe someone like your brother John, who's just starting his high school career. If you had to give those younger kids two pieces of advice from your experiences, what do you think it would be and why?
Don't listen to the noise around you. I mean, everyone says stuff about you, even if it's students or athletes that you know. I mean, you got to chase your dreams and your goals, and you just can't let people get in your head and stuff. So and then another one would be, don't be scared to fail. I mean, you got to learn from your mistakes, and honestly, every day I try to fail at something, whether it's school related, work related, sports related. If you don't fail, you're never going to reach your goals, and failing's good for you.
Right on. Jake, last thing we always do in these interviews is just turn the mic over to the person we're interviewing. So that's you. And now you could just run with it. You could give us some shout outs here if you wanted. Talk about anything else that I didn't ask you, any questions, anything else you want to add in. Like I said, the microphone is yours and you could just run with it. So go for it.
Maybe a quick shout out to my little cousin, Brady Hendrickson. He's a baller. You'll see him in the high school coming up. He told me to come over tonight, but I had to rip this podcast with you. Wanted me to come ball with him and play 1-on-1.
Right on. Like I said, anything else you want to add in there? Anything I forgot to ask you? Anything else to throw in there? Any more shout outs as well? Like I said, you could go for it.
We're good.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake.